I sat on the couch, staring at the front door, the dim glow of the lamp casting long shadows across the living room. The clock on the wall read 11:47 p.m. She was supposed to be home by 9. The airline app on my phone showed her flight had landed hours ago. No messages, no missed calls, just silence. A part of me wanted to believe she got stuck waiting for luggage, maybe caught in traffic. But another part, the one that had been gnawing at me for months, knew better. Then, at 11:52, the sound of her key jingling in the lock sent a chill down my spine. The door swung open, and there she was, Cecilia, my wife of 7 years. She was glowing. Not in a glad-to-be-home way. Not even in a I just had a great work trip way. No, this was different. Her eyes had that unmistakable shine, the kind you see in people who have just lived through something unforgettable. The kind of glow that wasn't meant for me. I forced a smile. "Hey," she beamed, stepping inside. "You're still up." I nodded, my throat dry. "Wanted to see you." She dropped her suitcase near the door and walked over, wrapping her arms around me. The hug was brief, detached. Her scent hit me, a rich, unfamiliar perfume, the kind I knew she didn't wear. "Sorry I'm late," she said, brushing her hair behind her ear. "The flight was delayed. I had been tracking it." She kicked off her heels and stretched, looking so at ease, so blissfully unaware that the ground beneath her was seconds from collapsing. "Long trip?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. She sighed dramatically. "You have no idea. Meetings all day. I just want to shower and sleep for a week." I tilted my head. "You check your bag, or carry-on?" She hesitated. "Checked." Another lie. The airline app showed she flew with carry-on only. My pulse pounded in my ears. I should have called her out then and there. Should have told her I knew. But I needed to see it unfold. I needed her to keep lying, to give herself enough rope to hang her perfect little illusion. She walked past me, heading for the bedroom, completely oblivious to the storm brewing behind my eyes. That was when I said it. "Hey, before you go to bed, I got you something." She turned, her lips curling into a curious smile. "A gift." I nodded, walking to the dining table and picking up the small box I had placed there earlier. My fingers tightened around it as I carried it over to her. She took it, her brows furrowing. "What is this?" "Open it," I said, my voice almost too calm. She hesitated, then started peeling back the wrapping. The moment she lifted the lid, I saw it. The way her smile froze, the way her breath hitched, and that was the exact moment her glow turned into panic. Cecilia's fingers trembled as she lifted the lid. Her face, once glowing with that post-trip excitement, went still. The color drained from her cheeks, her breath hitched just slightly. So slight that an untrained eye might have missed it. But I didn't. I had been watching her closely for months. She swallowed, forcing a laugh that came out too sharp, too rehearsed. What is this?" Inside the box sat something simple, something harmless. But to her it was a loaded weapon. Printed receipt. From a luxury boutique in Miami. For a silk dress, pair of heels, and perfume, the same intoxicating scent that still clung to her skin. My eyes locked onto hers. "Figured I'd surprise you. Picked it up while you were gone." Her fingers tightened around the box. That's really sweet, babe. But, I didn't have time for shopping." I tilted my head. "Really? That's strange. Because they told me the card used for this purchase belonged to you." Silence. Her lips parted, then closed. I could see the gears in her head turning at full speed, scrambling for something, anything, to explain this away. That must have been..." She forced a laugh, shaking her head. "That must have been Rachel. From work. She borrowed my card because she forgot hers at the hotel. I meant to tell you, but I was so busy with meetings, it just slipped my mind. Lies. So many lies, rolling off her tongue as if she had practiced them in the mirror. I took a slow breath, nodding, pretending for now that I believed her. That makes sense. Relief flashed in her eyes for half a second. She thought she had gotten away with it. But she had no idea what was coming next. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone, scrolling for the video I had saved. The one sent to me by an unknown number. The one that had arrived earlier that evening while I waited for her. A grainy, shaky recording, but clear enough. Her, in a dimly lit hotel room, slipping into that silk dress, laughing, kissing someone, a man I had never seen before. I placed my phone on the table between us, my heart hammering in my chest. Before you shower, maybe you want to take a look at this. Cecilia stiffened, her hand hovering over the box as if touching it any longer might burn her. What is that? She asked, voice just barely above a whisper. I tapped the screen. The video began to play, and as her own betrayal stared back at her, I watched the panic flood her eyes. Cecilia stood frozen, her eyes locked on the screen, watching her own betrayal unfold in real time. The dimly lit hotel room, her reflection in the mirror, adjusting the silk dress I had never seen before. The way she laughed, carefree, happy, weightless in a way she hadn't been with me in years. And then the man entered the frame. Tall, broad-shouldered, a stranger. He walked up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist like he had done it 100 times before. She leaned into him without hesitation, her body fitting against his in a way that made my stomach twist. Then, the worst part, her lips parted into the kind of smile she used to give me, the one that made me believe she was mine and only mine. And then she kissed him. Not just a quick peck. A slow, lingering kiss. She watched herself on the screen, her entire body stiff, her fingers gripping the edge of the table so hard I thought they might snap. Where did you get this? She finally croaked out. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed, feeling something inside me shift. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't shouting. I wasn't even hurt anymore. I was just done. I don't know, I said calmly. Someone sent it to me. Her head snapped up, her panic now mixed with something else. Fear. Not fear of me, but fear of whoever had exposed her. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but nothing came out. I had a lot of time to think while I was waiting for you tonight. I continued, my voice eerily steady. Time to put all the pieces together. The late-night work calls. The last-minute business trips. The way you've been distant, but only when you think I'm not paying attention. She opened her mouth, but I raised a hand. Don't. Just don't. I wasn't interested in hearing more lies. Her breath came out ragged. It's not what it looks like. I let out a laugh, shaking my head. Of course it isn't. She swallowed hard, stepping toward me, her expression shifting into something desperate. Please, just let me explain. I didn't move. Go ahead. Her hands trembled at her sides. He's just someone I met through work. We've only talked a few times. That night, he invited me for drinks, but I didn't mean for anything to happen. It was a mistake. A mistake. I exhaled slowly, shaking my head. So you accidentally flew to Miami, booked a hotel room with him, bought a new dress, and just what? Tripped and fell into his arms. Her face crumpled. No, it wasn't planned, right? I nodded, pressing my lips together. That's why you look so damn happy in that video. Tears welled up in her eyes, and for the first time, I saw real fear. Not just fear of getting caught, but fear of losing something she never thought she'd lose. Please, she whispered. I love you. I never stopped loving you. I was stupid. I wasn't thinking. I was just lonely, and he made me feel. She trailed off, realizing too late that there was no right answer to that sentence. I felt something snap inside me. Lonely? I repeated, voice dropping to a cold whisper. You were lonely? She nodded quickly, desperate to latch onto any excuse. You've been working so much. You've been distracted. I felt invisible, and he clenched my jaw. He what? He saw you. Her silence was answer enough. I let out a sharp breath, shaking my head. I have given you everything, Cecilia. My time, my love, my loyalty. And because I got a little busy making sure we had a good life, you decided to throw it all away. She wiped at her tears, shaking her head violently. No, it wasn't like that. I never wanted to hurt you. I stared at her, at the wife I no longer recognized, and realized something. I didn't care anymore. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fight for someone who had already made her choice. I turned away, grabbing my jacket from the chair. You know what, Cecilia? I don't even care what your excuse is. I just want you gone. She gasped, her breath catching. Wait, what? I turned back, eyes cold. You heard me. I want you out. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You can't be serious. Dead serious. I reached for my phone and started typing. I'm booking you a hotel for the night. You can pack a bag and go. Her face twisted with pure desperation. No. Please, we can talk about this. I can fix this. I glanced up at her, feeling a strange sense of peace wash over me. You already did. For the first time in months, maybe years, I saw things clearly. And I wasn't about to waste another second on a woman who had thrown me away like I was nothing. Cecilia stood in the middle of the living room, trembling, her once confident demeanor completely shattered. Just minutes ago, she had walked through that door all smiles, carrying the weight of her deceit like it was nothing. Now, she looked like she was the one whose world had just imploded. No, she whispered, shaking her head like she could somehow erase everything that had just happened. No, I'm not leaving. We need to talk about this. You can't just throw me out. I slipped my phone back into my pocket, exhaling slowly. I felt oddly calm. No rage, no heartbreak, just emptiness. You already left, Cecilia, I said simply. The second you walked into that hotel room with him, you made your choice. I'm just giving you the chance to follow through with it. Her hands curled into fists. It wasn't a choice. I laughed under my breath. Oh, so you just magically appeared in his arms? She wiped at her tears furiously. I was stupid. I was drunk. I wasn't thinking straight. I tilted my head. You seemed pretty clear-headed in that video. She flinched, her lip trembling. That's not fair. I took a step closer, lowering my voice. You want to talk about fair? You want to talk about what's not fair? She swallowed hard, shrinking under my stare. What's not fair, I continued, is me sitting at home for the past 5 days, thinking you were working hard, trusting you while you were out there playing house with another man. What's not fair is me putting everything I had into this marriage while you were out looking for something better. Tears streamed down her face. I wasn't looking for something better. I was just bored. I cut in, my voice sharp. Lonely? Or do you just enjoy sneaking around, Cecilia? Was it exciting? She covered her mouth with her hands, sobbing into them, her whole body shaking. I made a mistake, she choked out. A horrible mistake. But I love you. I love our life together. Please, let's fix this. I'll do anything. I closed my eyes for a second, inhaling slowly. There was a time when those words would have broken me, when I would have done anything to hold on to her, to fight for what we had. But now I just wanted her gone. I opened my eyes and looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I had married was gone. Maybe she had been gone for a long time, and I had just been too blind to see it. I don't think you understand, I said quietly. There is no fixing this. There is no us anymore. Her sobs turned into full-on panic, her breaths coming in shallow gasps. No, please don't do this. I'll quit my job. I'll cut off all contact with him. I swear, I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You can't make this up to me, Cecilia. Nothing you do will undo what you did. Her whole body sagged as she collapsed onto the couch, her head in her hands. Please, she whispered. I shook my head. Pack a bag. She looked up at me, eyes wild. No, I'm your wife. You can't just throw me away like this. I walked over to the door and grabbed her suitcase, rolling it toward her. You threw yourself away, Cecilia. I'm just making it official. She stared at the suitcase like it was a death sentence. Go, I said, my voice firm, before I lose what little patience I have left. For a moment she didn't move. Then, slowly, she stood up, Her shoulders slumped in defeat. She walked to the bedroom in a daze, and I listened as she shuffled around, stuffing things into a bag. Minutes later, she reappeared, her face pale, eyes hollow. She stopped in front of me, gripping the strap of her bag so tightly her knuckles turned white. "If I walk out that door," she whispered, "I know you'll never let me back in." I met her gaze, unflinching. "You're right." A final tear slipped down her cheek. "I love you." I didn't respond. And then, she turned and walked out the door. As it clicked shut behind her, I exhaled, my whole body sagging. It was over. For the first time in years, I was free. The moment the door clicked shut, an eerie silence filled the house. It was a strange kind of quiet, one that didn't just come from the absence of sound but from the weight of everything that had just happened. I stood there, staring at the door, half expecting Cecilia to burst back in, sobbing, begging, making promises she couldn't keep. But she didn't. She was gone. I should have felt relief. I should have felt victorious. But instead, all I felt was nothing. I turned away from the door and walked into the kitchen, my legs moving on autopilot. I grabbed a glass from the cabinet, filled it with water, and drank it slowly, trying to settle the storm still raging inside me. 7 years. 7 years of marriage, gone in a matter of minutes. I pulled out a chair at the dining table and sat down, staring at the untouched meal I had made earlier. I had planned to surprise her with her favorite dinner. I had been excited to have her home. I had been so damn naive. The video replayed in my head. Every frame burned into my memory. The way she smiled at him. The way she leaned into his touch. The way she looked so effortlessly happy, like she wasn't a woman with a husband waiting at home. My stomach twisted, and I pushed the plate away. There was no way I could eat now. Instead, I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling, letting the reality of it all settle in. I was alone, not just in the house but in a much deeper way. The person I had built my life around was gone. But maybe she had left long before tonight. Maybe I had been living with a stranger for years, pretending everything was fine, while she had already checked out. The worst part was, I didn't even know who I was without her. Who was I, if not Cecilia's husband? I had spent so much time trying to be the perfect partner, the reliable one, the man who put his wife first, that I hadn't even considered what I wanted, what I needed. And now, for the first time in years, I had to figure that out. I stood up, grabbing my phone from the table. No new messages. No calls. Good. I didn't want to hear from her. Not tonight. Not ever. I walked over to the living room and sat down on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen. Felt surreal, like I was living someone else's life. Then, a thought hit me. What now? What do you do when the person you thought would be by your side forever suddenly isn't? I had no answer. So, I just sat there, listening to the silence, letting it consume me, knowing that when the sun rose tomorrow, everything would be different. The next morning, I woke up on the couch. My back ached, my neck was stiff, and for a moment, I forgot where I was. The living room was dimly lit by the early morning sun, casting long shadows across the floor. My phone lay beside me, untouched. No missed calls. No messages. She hadn't tried to reach me. Good. I pushed myself up, wincing at the stiffness in my muscles. The house felt different now. Emptier, quieter, like the air itself had changed overnight. For years, this house had been filled with her presence. The scent of her perfume lingering in the hallways, the sound of her humming as she made coffee in the mornings, the way she used to leave little messes everywhere. Her shoes kicked off by the door, a half-drunk cup of tea on the nightstand. Now it all felt foreign, like I was walking through someone else's home. I moved through the house slowly, taking in everything with new eyes. Our wedding photo still sat on the mantel. A soft pink sweater of hers was draped over the back of the dining chair. Her toothbrush was still in the bathroom right next to mine. For a split second, I felt a pang in my chest. This was the life we had built together. The life I had spent years believing in. And now all of it had crumbled in a single night. I walked into the bedroom, hesitating for a moment before stepping inside. still smelled like her. The bed was neatly made, just as I had left it. But then, my eyes landed on her nightstand. A framed photo of us. A book she had been reading. A small velvet box, the one I had given her for our 5th anniversary, holding a bracelet engraved with our wedding date. She had left everything behind. It hit me then. She hadn't just lost me. I had lost her, too. The version of her I had loved. The woman I had built a life with, she was gone. Maybe she had been gone for a long time. I turned away, walking back out of the room, my mind racing. What was I supposed to do now? Erase her completely? Throw away everything that reminded me of her? Or leave it all as it was, pretending, for just a little longer, that none of this had happened? I didn't know. I wasn't ready to decide yet. So, instead, I walked to the kitchen, turned on the coffee machine, and stood there, staring at the empty counter, listening to the low hum of brewing coffee, waiting for the moment when all of this would finally feel real. The coffee tasted bitter. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the cup in my hands, but I wasn't really seeing it. My mind was elsewhere, floating somewhere between the past and the present, between what had been and what no longer was. I still hadn't heard from Cecilia. Not a single call, not a single text. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt unsteady, like I was balancing on the edge of something I couldn't quite define. It was strange how quiet the house was. For years, I had wished for moments of peace, for space, for silence. But now that it was here, it didn't feel like peace. It felt like an empty void, stretching endlessly before me. I needed to get out. I needed air. Leaving my coffee untouched, I grabbed my keys and stepped outside. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant car exhaust. The world was awake. People heading to work, kids waiting for school buses, life moving forward, as if nothing had changed. But for me, everything had. I climbed into my car, gripping the steering wheel tightly for a moment before I started the engine. I didn't even know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay home. Not right now. I drove without thinking, letting the roads guide me. 20 minutes later, I found myself pulling into a small parking lot near a walking trail I used to go to. Back before life got busy, before Cecilia started pulling away, before everything became about keeping a marriage together that had already fallen apart. The path was quiet, the trees swaying gently in the breeze. I walked, my footsteps crunching against the gravel, my thoughts circling in endless loops. I thought about the first time I had met her, the way she had smiled at me across the coffee shop, the way she had laughed at my dumb jokes, the way she had kissed me like she meant it. Had it all been real, or had she always been capable of this? I stopped walking, exhaling sharply. It didn't matter anymore. I could spend the rest of my life dissecting every memory, searching for clues, looking for signs I had missed. But none of it would change the fact that she had chosen someone else. That she had walked into a hotel room with another man and left me sitting at home, waiting for someone who had already moved on. I ran a hand through my hair, letting out a slow breath. It was time to let go. Not just of her, but of everything she had taken from me. The doubt, the guilt, the endless question of what I had done wrong. Because the truth was, I had done nothing wrong. She had, and I wasn't going to carry the weight of her mistakes anymore. I turned back toward my car, my steps lighter than before. I still had a long way to go, but for the first time since last night, I felt like I was finally moving forward. The drive home felt different, lighter, like I had left something behind on that walking trail, something I had been carrying for far too long. By the time I pulled into my driveway, the weight on my chest wasn't as suffocating. It was still there, but it was manageable, like a dull ache instead of a sharp wound. The house was still the same, silent, empty, but this time it didn't feel like a void. It felt like a blank slate. I stepped inside, taking a slow breath. The wedding photo still sat on the mantel, staring at me like a ghost from another life. I walked over to it, running my fingers along the frame. Then, without hesitation, I took it down. I didn't throw it, didn't smash it, didn't destroy it in some dramatic gesture. I simply put it away, because that chapter of my life was over, and it was time to write a new one. I spent the rest of the day making small changes, packing away the things that reminded me of her, rearranging the furniture, opening every window to let the fresh air in, to clear out whatever lingering presence she had left behind. And with each little change, I felt something shift inside me. This was my home now, not ours, not hers, mine. By the time evening rolled around, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. I sat on the back porch, a beer in hand, watching the sky fade into soft shades of orange and purple. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about her. I wasn't replaying the betrayal, the lies, the moment she walked through the door with that fake smile. I was thinking about the future, about the things I had put on hold, the hobbies I had abandoned, the friends I had lost touch with, the version of myself I had let disappear while I tried to hold onto a marriage that had been slipping through my fingers for years. I took a deep breath, letting the cool air fill my lungs. I didn't know what was next, but for the first time in a long time I was excited to find out. A new life was waiting for me, and I was finally ready to step into it.